There is exactly 1 week to go until the start of NaNoWriMo, and I think I might have decided to write a different book. Hello, my name's Amy and welcome to this final Preptober vlog of the season. NaNoWriMo is approaching really quickly. I am trying to get my plans in order, but that is made a bit more difficult by the fact that I keep changing my mind. So for the last couple of weeks, I have been working on an outline for an epic fantasy book I'm calling Project Immortals. Now, I could start writing that book. I have outlined just enough to continue the drafting process, and if I do choose to write that book for NaNoWriMo, I would basically be writing the first half of Act 2. That alone is going to take about 50,000 words, which shows you the scope of this book. It is a very big project. But all summer I was working on the second book in a series, The Goldstone Tower. That is now released, and I was planning to release the third book in the summer of next year, giving myself just a little under a year to work on it. But the thing is, I'm finding that I'm really inspired to work on the third book right now. I already have quite a strong idea of where the plot is going and what plot points it needs to cover. There's a bit of backstory, some revelations about the characters that have been hinted at in the first two books that are going to be revealed in the third. So I know where this story is going. I've already got quite a number of notes for it, and crucially, I'm really quite excited to write it. Though we only have a week of Preptober left, I am seriously considering spending the week getting a rough outline for this book down and then diving straight into it for NaNoWriMo. Now, I do this a lot. In previous years for NaNoWriMo, I have nearly always planned on one particular book, and then sometimes as little as 1 or 2 days before November starts, I switch to something else. So this is not unusual for me. The key thing here is that writing the third book in the series would be really sensible right now. The second book is fresh in my mind, and obviously the quicker you publish the books in a series, the easier it is to gain traction on sites like Amazon. So if I finish this book quicker and released it in late winter or spring of next year rather than summer, I would definitely be giving myself an advantage. So whilst trying to plot an entire 80,000 word book in a week perhaps doesn't sound like the most sensible option, continuing the series as quickly as possible definitely is, and that is what I'm focusing on at the moment. This is of course one of the books that I did talk about outlining in Preptober, but I didn't think I was going to have time to do it. I am now very much making time, which means it is back to the snowflake method for me. I made a start last night. I have written my 1-sentence hook and I have written my 1-paragraph outline. The difficulty with this book is I know many of the events that need to take place in it and the revelations that need to come to light, but I don't yet know what order they are going to go in. So my next step is to make some notes on the characters, to work out their wants and needs and goals, things like that, and then it will be into the 1-page outline where hopefully I will be able to make some sense of the timeline. If you include today, it is about 6 days until NaNoWriMo. I am still working on the outline for this brand new project that I have decided to write. I have about 2,000 words of the outline so far, and I'm really quite happy with it. I'm in the middle of writing the 1-page synopsis, which is definitely going to be longer than 1 page because whenever I'm coming up with ideas during the outlining process, I am just making sure they are written down. I'm not really trying to keep myself to an arbitrary word count. But I'm really pleased with the shape the story is taking. It is quite dark and creepy. It has plenty of interesting monsters, lots of opportunity for some big action set pieces, and I'm already really looking forward to writing it. And I actually think I could start writing it really quickly if I needed to, but the next 5-6 days will really help me to hone the story further. The one thing I have struggled with a bit so far is the character section of the outline. This trips me up every single time. Plot comes very easily to me, but working out character motivations, goals, internal and external desires, whatever's on the list for the snowflake method, that just takes so much more thought for me. And particularly because this is the third book in a series, I've had to be very careful that I'm not just repeating the character arcs from the last book. So I have added those sections to the outline, but I don't really feel they're quite there yet. They do need more work. But I don't want to get stuck on any one section of the outline. I'm trying to move through it fairly quickly and just generate as many ideas as possible. Once my one-page synopsis is written, I will go back to the one-page character arcs, and I'm hoping by that point I will have a better idea of the journey the characters are going on. For me, when I'm working through the snowflake method, what I found is that nothing is set in stone. I will write down what occurs to me in the moment, but there is every chance I will go back and change it later. And I do really like the fluidity and flexibility of the snowflake method. When I'm writing out the one-page synopsis, for example, it very much flows for me the way drafting a scene would flow. I am working through the plot points in a very logical fashion. It is one event after another. This happens, then this would happen, then the characters would do this, so this would happen. And this is the way I draft when I don't have an outline, so the snowflake method feels very intuitive to me. This is also why I have struggled with things like Save the Cat in the past, because it just feels too rigid. It can be useful for structure if I get stuck, but more often than not, if I'm working through such rigid plot structures, I feel very constricted and it tends to just inhibit my ideas. So I'm feeling good about the outline so far. I think once the one-page synopsis is written and once my one-page character arcs are written, I could actually start drafting at that point. So a lot is just going to depend on how much time I have before NaNoWriMo starts. If you count today, there are 3 days left until NaNoWriMo, and it is gone 4 p.m. now, so there's not much of today left. Have I touched the outlines again since my last update? No. We've actually been away from home for the last couple of days. We went to visit some friends and took our daughter to a Halloween party and just spent some time with family. So it was definitely nice to get away because we spend a lot of our time cooped up in this very small static caravan, and it is really nice to spread out a bit. But I have done very little writing and absolutely no outlining for the last few days. So strictly speaking, I am not ready for NaNoWriMo at all, but I am not worried too much. I did do a little bit of brainstorming work for Project Immortals over the weekend, and it has solidified for me that I'm not quite ready to write it. I had some ideas about the world that do fundamentally change some of the plot, and specifically some of the character motivations. It isn't going to take a huge amount to incorporate these new world building ideas into the story, but it will take a little bit of thought and a bit of time, and that is something I'm getting quite short on. So working on the continuation of my existing fantasy series makes a lot more sense because the rules are already set for that series. I know where the plot is going, I know more or less where the characters are going, and I'm really looking forward to writing it. And that is in fact where I am going to wrap this vlog up. I am tentatively prepared for NaNoWriMo. I do have the early parts of my plot outline for this book. I can start writing it if I need to. I would love to spend a couple more days working on the outline before NaNoWriMo. I think I should just about have time to do that. And I hope you are as excited about NaNoWriMo as I am. As I've said in previous vlogs, it is a couple of years since I last took part, so it is going to be great to actually start a brand new book this November, particularly one that I am so looking forward to writing. And actually, I have been looking forward to writing this installment in the series for a good couple of years. As ever, let me know what you're working on down in the comments. I have finally set up my project on NaNoWriMo because I hadn't actually logged into the site for a couple of years. I do need to tweak the title because I have changed project since I set it up, but I will leave a link to my profile down in the description. You are very welcome to add me as a buddy. I have never used the system before this year, so I would love to add some more people. So I hope you are just about ready for NaNoWriMo and that you are enjoying the last few days of Preptober. I'll be back soon with another video. Until then, keep writing everyone, and I'll see you next time.